Hey, what's going on, my people? So, day one, that's not a typo. That is absolutely the clock right there. Seven Milwaukee area offices are getting a certified letter from this desk. From this desk right here, not this exact desk because I'm not at my actual desk, but they are getting a certified letter from UNJ. 15 business days to explain what happened at State Fair Park. Today is going to be officially business day one as we go into tomorrow, Tuesday, because that by the time we get off this live, it's gonna be a little bit close to midnight anyway. So we might as well call it day one. All right. We're counting every single one of the days out loud until somebody answers. They have 15 business days. Okay. Also tonight, Milwaukee basketball team just changed forever. There's a new poll on who's running this state next. And we're not backing off the story that got us all talking about accountability in the first place. So sit back, relax. This is Marcus Hart. This is the Urban News Journal, independent, objective, unafraid. Let's get into it. All right, once again, for those who just joining, those who are watching us, I'm Marcus Hart. This is the Urban News Journal, independent, objective, and unafraid. I am just glad to be able to be with you guys tonight. That's the best way I can put it. So without further ado, let's get into where we have to start. Okay. On August 21st, this newsroom decided that we were going to send out certified mail with return receipt. So we better get that doggone receipt. So there's no, we never got it to seven offices. Okay. So that letter is going out tomorrow. We decided on Friday that we were going to do it, but tomorrow we are officially sending it out to the following offices: Wisconsin State Fair Park, the governor's office, the Milwaukee County Executive, the West Allis Mayor, West Allis Police Department, the West Allis Audit Person who represents the Fair District, and also the Attorney General's Office of Open Government. And the ask is simple: one thing, one tiny little thing. Okay? A full after action report on what happened the closing night of this year's state fair. There were 7 arrests, an officer struck, crowds spilling into the neighborhoods around the fairgrounds. We're not asking anyone to admit any fault here, okay? You don't have to admit any fault on camera. But what we are asking for is the paperwork that proves somebody somewhere is actually looking into what happened. All right. So 15 business days. Today going into tomorrow, it's going to be considered day one. And as of this morning, checking emails, checking every one of these offices' public statements. And guess what? Zero, nada, zilch, zero replies. Absolutely zero replies. And it's absolutely despicable. Okay. Despicable. And, so we have politics already swirling up, and Crowley already starting to blame one side. Yeah. And then national outlets running mob framing. It's crazy, man. And from the accountability that we ask, UNJ isn't litigating blame at all. We just asking for documentation. That's all we want. And we last week we gave an on-air apology, and we read the letter from earlier last week for anyone catching up. And it's good to be able to see you guys in the comment section, those who are on Rumble, those who are on Facebook, and those who are on YouTube as well. So we want to be walked through this after action report. We want to be able to present it to guys to present it to you guys, okay? And basically what an after action report is very simple, and the reason why 15 business days is reasonable, not an extreme acts, is because like most public safety incidents supposed to get reviewed in the first place. So this is nothing unusual that that's supposed to happen anyways. It's just a little bit more formal, and it's definitely for transparency. I truly believe that us as Milwaukee County residents, us as Wisconsinites of the state of Wisconsin, we are owed that. Okay, we are owed that. And don't forget, man, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this desk is going to be checking in. We're gonna be looking at day whatever it is on the next stream, which is Wednesday, until somebody answers or the clock runs out on around September 15, 16, 7-ish, 16, 7-ish. So this is exactly why the newsletter exists, though. So the countdown lives there in writing. Not just in the live stream. Nobody can scroll back through that through easily, because it's sometimes it's a little bit hard to like, sit there and rewatch the whole entire stream, but that's why the newsletter exists. That's exactly why the newsletter exists. Simply for you guys, okay? As you can see somewhere right here below me right here, is the website to be part of that free newsletter. You can go to that website right there, urbannewsjournal.behalf.com, or just simply type in urbannewsjournal.com. Urbannewsjournal.com works just as well, but if you want to get to the newsletter right away, and you don't want to be fishing around for it on the website, which is sticking out. It's not hard to like see it on the website either. But the free newsletter, man, be a part of it. Be there or be square. So now let's take our talents over to Miami and then circle back up to Milwaukee because deep breath, y'all. Because I need everybody watching to sit with this one. Sit with this next one for a second, for a second, if you can. All right. So Giannis Antetokounmpo is a Miami Heat player now. In case you've been living underneath a rock somewhere, say that again. No, say it again, because Milwaukee needs a second to actually process that sentence. Again, if you've been underneath the rock, you didn't know that Giannis is now a Miami Heat player. I feel sorry for you. So 15 years of identity built around this one guy, this one guy, and it's gone in a trade call. It's just like that, just simply gone in a trade call. And the final return package, you know, well, it's I don't know. Is it fair to say that we got our money's worth when we traded Giannis? I don't know if it's fair to say, but it's clear though that the Bucks are in a rebuild right now, and how long that rebuild will take to get back to our winning ways, who knows? Who knows? But you know, as a fan, and as I can like read the room when it comes to the sentiment of other fans, like there's grief on one hand, and then there's a bunch of excitement, and it's all kind of mixed together. And we are going to be taking a serious look at how these Bucks are going to look under this new era. We're going to be seeing people eyes are going to definitely be on Tyler Hero, who like rumor was that like he didn't want to be here. He's from Wisconsin. I don't see why that would be a problem, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, then there's been a lot of people that's been on the move in the NBAs too. A lot of people that's been in the move, been on the move, not been in the move, on the move. So It's going to have a local economic effect. It's going to affect the economy here locally. Bars and all of those small businesses near Pfizer Forum that built their calendars around Bucks Night. Like it ain't no telling what that's gonna look like now. Bars and businesses used to be, just packed, man, getting all type of business, like when Giannis was still in town. But how is that going to look in this new season? And that's an article coming up on urbannewsjournal.com. We're gonna be going into that more deeply. But 15 years from now, people are going to ask, where were you when Giannis got traded? The way they ask about the parade. So where were you when the Bucks won the championship during that parade? I know where I was. I was out there, man. I was out there in the midst of it. Like it was a party, man. Like Milwaukee never rocked so hard in a long time when the championship was brought home. So yeah, man, that's that story. Let's move on to another story. Okay, so let's shift from the basketball court over to the campaign trail, shall we? The campaign trail. Because this next number should matter to every single person watching right now, every single one of you guys. So the first post primary poll is out right now. And I got it right here on the screen if you can see, it's like on the side of my face, side of both sides of my face. But the Badger Battleground has David Crowley leaving. Oh, well, not leaving, but he's leading Tom Tiffany 48 to 44. 48 to 44 statewide. Like, man, what? What? So this is the same David Crowley who's currently, Milwaukee County executive, and one of the seven names on our accountability letter too, by the way. So we are holding his office accountable too. So let's put it plainly, man. 4 points is a margin. It's not a lead, that you take to the bank. And no, it's not a horse race cheering either direction either. Because like these polls, man, every time they come up, right? They they look legit. They tell us that they legit, but then the election comes around and guess what? Somebody gets blowed out, or these razor thin margins, these razor thin. It is crazy. So what is going to what is going to matter though is Milwaukee. We want to watch what Milwaukee's turnout is going to be for this statewide race once it comes to its eventual halt. And when we have to go into the polls and actually pull that lever, or I never had to pull a lever. When you hear people say, go in the poll booth and pull the lever, that's not at every polling place. Every polling place got their own different ways of like allowing you to vote, but for sake of argument, for sake of like just keeping it short, keeping it to the point, when we go to the election and election polls and we place our bets in, because that's what it feels like. It feels like we placing our bets in and hoping for the best. It's like we like, man, you like, because I honestly don't trust neither one of these guys. It's a damn shame that we only got two people to pick from. It felt so much better when it was like damn near nine Democrats and then you got a handful of Republicans. Like, man, why can't we just put them all on a ballot and and just choose like that? But they narrow it down to two, and you got to pick. And like Crawley, this guy is iffy. And then Tiffany, like he could be a little bit too much on the extreme right end when it comes to like, being too hardcore mega supporting. Like it's scary, man. It's really scary, and we're making some crucial decisions in Milwaukee, man. I just don't know. So What do you think? What do you think is going to be? How do you think November's going to shape out? You can put your comments in the comment section. Let me know what are you thinking? So in case you don't know, this is the Urban News Journal, independent, objective, unafraid. Okay, and we're not afraid to call it for what we see it as. Speaking of which, all right, let's move on. I'm gonna be getting through these quite kind of quick today too, because I'm not at my usual location, where I normally record from. I don't know how many of you guys like those sparkly lights. The last stream. Did you guys like the sparkly lights that you saw? The little purple sparkly lights that were in the background. I like it. Maybe tell me what you think about them, or do you like this right here, like the trust in the Lord? Do you like that backdrop? But anywho, now separate from the leather and separate from the clock that we mentioned earlier, let's talk about what actually happened that night and what it means for how this city plans a public event going forward. Okay, going forward, what's a verified fact about the accounts, the account of the state fair? Like how does it really add up? Again, 7 arrests, an officer struck, crowds moving into neighboring streets. That's something that wasn't really, really touched on too much, in the media about like how these crowds were going into neighboring streets, like causing more ruckus. We did anybody know that? Did you know that that's watching? And then this versus the inflammatory mob language that like most of these national outlets reach for, which is crazy, man. And West Allis PD staffing and response, during that night, it's kind of questionable, because like without having that after action report that we're demanding, that we talked about in segment one of this show, without that after action report, we have no idea how long did it actually take for West Allis PD to respond or how many people were actually staffed for that particular night. Again, this is one of those nights that happen every single year. We know the final night of Wisconsin State Fair is coming. We know the dates for State Fair, and we know what day it is. And for that reason, shouldn't we be a little bit more better prepared, more equipped? Shouldn't we? You know, I, shouldn't we be more equipped and more prepared? And it's like they have suppressed the neighborhoods and the resident voices around there who spoke up publicly. It's like I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people who spoke up publicly about what happened in the neighborhood, and in those in the residential area, and it's like we didn't really get everybody's voice out there. We didn't get like a full force of people that actually live in that neighborhood, coming to the front and saying like, "Hey, man, listen, we didn't appreciate this. It was tacky. It was despicable. Um, it disrupted my peace." There should be like lawsuits flying all over the place right now. I know. If it was, like I live in West Allis, so I'm like, if they don't respond in 15 days, like that might be cause for an action for a lawsuit. We class action lawsuit. Anybody join join the board. Get on the money train. So this is why that letter matters. Like I said, and it's not to punish anybody, but it's to make sure that next year's fair doesn't look like this, like the way it looked, because it was terrible, absolutely terrible, man. I didn't appreciate it, man. No, not at all. So, before we close on now, like I told you, this is gonna be like a short show today. It's not gonna be my typical um long show because I'm not in my normal location. So get a swig of water for this one. So before we close out, I want to bring it back to something closer to home for me personally. Yeah, that's very close to home, State Fair, but this is also close to home too because I'm sandwiched in between State Fair and on the VA hospital. So one current Milwaukee area veterans resource or mental health touch point, um, there was a VA Milwaukee news release, and also I think it was a release from the Center for Veteran Issues. Um, and the thing about it, man, there's not enough there's not enough attention being had when it comes to our veterans in the Milwaukee County, in Milwaukee County. Like there's there's problems, man, and I don't think they get addressed enough. Okay. So let me see if I can find that that um that news release. Let me see. Recent VA Milwaukee news release. See if I can find it because I don't wanna say anything wrong. I wanna get it right. I gotta get it right. So recent news. Um there's some good news. There's I'm trying to find recent news on mental health and veterans. Maybe it wasn't the VA who released it. Maybe it was um, the Center for Veteran Issues, which CVI is a good program, by the way. I gotten support from them before. They a real good program. So if you're a veteran and you're looking for some help, Center for Veteran Issues are very very good. Um, so let's see what You know, like, why is it that I'm having a hard time? So, well, there is something like in the broader VA network that was recently launched was like, and I touched on this before was like with the psychedelic treatment for veterans, like the mushrooms, those dealing with treatment resistant depression and severe PTSD. Um, there's also the organic therapy expansion that CVI announced is utilized in its therapeutic garden spaces to offer veterans restorative low stress environments designed to alleviate PTSD and anxiety symptoms. So there was something else that I saw though. Anything else regarding veterans and mental health recently reported? So let's see. I'm trying to make sure. Milwaukee specifically. Just trying to make sure that we ain't missing the cross for our T's and dot for our I's. Okay, so I mean, only thing I'm really finding is like the state funding alleviation. So back earlier this year, it says that Wisconsin legis, legislate I can't say it. Legislation. I can't say it. Oh man, why? Yeah, I work two jobs today, man. I'm out of it. The legislators, there we go. Legislators Joint Finance Committee approved a $1.9 million bill providing a $25 per diem payment to nonprofits housing veterans. CVI was, one of the highest noted ones that this funding was directly allocated towards, $500,000 for operational deficits, securing the future of their local mental health support, meals, and emergency shelter. I don't know if this is the one that, I was looking at. Um, so let's see. How about this one? The Milwaukee VA Medical Center allocated part of its major 2026 federal modernization budget specifically to replace Building 123 mental health emergency generator and switchboard. That I wonder if that's it. It could be that. You know, um, Regardless of the fact, there's a lot of money, a lot of state money being moved um, throughout, you know, many of the nonprofits that are that support veterans, and also um, some of the mental health programs in the Milwaukee VA. Get some parts of that, some of that federal budget, but also from time to time, um, it looks like there's some crossover with the state funding. Um, which doesn't go directly to the VA because the VA is still a federal entity, but um, I believe the VA have some type of lobbying power at the state level too. If I'm wrong, anybody can correct me on that, but I believe from what I heard before that there could be some, they could have some type of lobbying power to um, help the state decide where that money should go, as far as which nonprofits are really doing the work. And CVI is one of them. This is why, and I think I brought this up for a reason, right? I brought this up for a reason because, we don't want our veterans to go without, man. It would be a shame if we allowed our veterans to go without, and whoever becomes the governor is also going to have allocation funding allocation powers to continue to either support veterans in mental health, or not. You know, like, and I mean that's something that should be asked, and that should be a huge concern. Um, for me, it is a concern because, like I said, I have personally utilized services like CBI before, for housing, for food, when I was going through my problems, and I can't imagine not having that type of resource available, man. They put me and my family up in a hotel for 30 days, and then once we were able to find somewhere to live, which they were, very instrumental in helping us find somewhere to live. They paid 3 months of rent. So services like those, man, they cannot go away, man. We cannot afford to put somebody in office, and then they put this way at the bottom of the pile. This got to stay up at the top because, we still, I still come across veterans that's on the street right now. And some of them are by choice. Some of them are because, they have untreated mental health illnesses um, you know, that doesn't allow them to function properly. So, with them not being able to function properly, they just continue to wander the street. They run into the law sometimes, or you see them panhandling, and then we question wow, why should I give these guys money if they got resources? But the problem is some of them have felonies. Some of them have just undiagnosed mental health issues that are preventing them from to process um that like, hey, you know, there's help that exists specifically for me as a veteran. I can go and apply for VA disability. They don't know that. Some of them don't know that, and there's not enough um, outreach on the street either to go like scoop some of these veterans up and get them the help that they need. Um, which goes back to Building 123 that the VA house on their campus. It's a transitional. It's almost like a transitional housing, almost like a dome. It's a dorm that houses like veterans that's in transition, rather they transition in, from being homeless, or they transition in from being addicted to drugs, you know, um, or or they just went through a mental health crisis and they needed somewhere to go to kind of escape, the crisis. So whatever it is that that was instrumental for that, and there's programs within Dom 123 that helps a lot of these veterans as well, which I believe some of those, like, depend heavily on the federal budget, but there's some programs that like come in from the outside that's funded by the state. So this is why it's so important to know who we're going to put in office come November. It's so important, man. So before we go, before we go one more time, because we said we're going to be counting out loud. Day one or two, well, one or two, day one of 15, is about to be out of the books once we close this live stream. So 7 letters, and just keep in mind, there's has not been a reply to my emails at all. So zero replies as of right now, and once these letters come out. We're gonna be, 15 days, man. They got 15 days to reply back. We'll be here Wednesday with an update. So you don't want to miss day two at all. Don't miss day two. So if you haven't subscribed to us, make sure you subscribe to us. Hit us with a like, drop a comment down. All of that, that above that I just said, does help push this channel out to more people, so more people can be informed, more people can, and also be a part of like, stuff like this and more. So if tonight did anything for you at all, if it did anything for you at all, if it made you think, or made you mad, or made you feel like somebody's finally asking the right questions in this city, do me one thing. Do one me a solid. Forward the newsletter to one person that you can think of. The links below, and also the link is pinned in the comment section as well. The link is on the screen right now, as you can see. So, Marcus Hart, ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Hart, and I'm looking forward to being with you guys once again on Wednesday. Again, um, um we are here. Anchored, we are here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's when you can tune in to us. Um, if you got any questions, I like to always let people know that you can hit me up via email, press at marcus-hart.com. That's press at marcus-hart.com. And I'm not normally like, I'm not normally this mellow. Sometimes I'm usually a little bit more animated. But however, today I'm not in my normal location, so I have to be respectful of the people that are sharing the same roof as I am right now at this particular moment. But Friday, we'll be back home in the home studio. I am working on building up the studio, getting the studio redone. Um, we're gonna have a brand new studio, so like, not only will I have that little corner in my in my room, but I'm also going to have um, another studio built out and it's gonna look nice. Okay, so before I let you go, so scripture says it plainly. Act justly, love merciful, walk humbly. That's not a slogan for us, that's the job description. However long this takes 15 days, 50 days, however long, we're going to keep doing exactly that. And we're trusting God to handle the rest. So I'm Marcus Hart. This is the Urban News Journal, independent, objective, unafraid. Walk humbly. And we will see you again on a Wednesday. That's all I have for you guys. It's been a blast, man. Appreciate you guys once again, all of those who joined.